Hi, this is Larry Abel, and for 16 years I served as provost at Florida State University, an institution of about 30,000 undergraduates. And for the past 6 years, I've worked with a number of organizations and schools to improve student success. For 12 of the years as provost, I also chaired the weekly meeting of our student success team. Over that period of time, I became focused, actually obsessed, with improving student success. As a typical administrator, though, I didn't know much about the daily life of a student. I spent a good deal of time learning from advisors and others who worked with students on a daily basis. These individuals and others form the core of our student success team. Our weekly student success team meetings focused on measuring everything that we possibly could and then determining what we could learn from those data. It turned out we learned quite a bit and were able to significantly increase our graduation rate and virtually eliminate any achievement gaps. As you can see from that first slide, our overall graduation rate improved from 68% in 2001 to a currently 80%. As you can see from the table, the improvement for underrepresented groups was even more substantial. As an aside, it's important to remember that improving retention and graduation yields significant new income through additional tuition collection. We use these funds to add professional advisors, what I think is a critical investment that yielded additional improvements. You'll also be able to generate funds if you wish to add software. Well, how did we achieve this incredible improvement, which I think it is? We did so through what is now called Complete College America, their GPS system. It's one of their 5 game changers. At about the same time that the student success team was meeting, the Florida legislature was concerned about students taking too many classes and graduating or simply leaving with excess hours, defined as hours that did not count toward a degree. And I certainly did not realize how many students accumulated excess hours. Just for example, in 2011-12, students graduating in the state of Florida took over 1 million credit hours beyond 110% of degree requirements, despite a significant financial penalty for doing so. As you can see, probably the average is half of the students who graduated had excess hours. The funny thing is, it's not unusual. If you go around and look at all sorts of public institutions, you'll see something similar. So we examined thousands of these transcripts of graduates and non-graduates and tried to ascertain what the issue was. And we decided we could put them in about 4 buckets. 1, students who clearly did not understand the general education and/or the requirements for the major. 2, students who took classes they thought were easy in order to increase their GPA to get into a major requiring a higher GPA than they had at the time. 3, they stayed in a major despite poor performance in that major, and they ended up retaking classes over and over again, in some cases 6 and 7 times. And 4, the thing that was most painful is that we've discovered university actions and processes that unintentionally harm students by placing, for example, a hold on their registration. Then they missed their registration window. Then they would have to take whatever they could get in order to remain qualified for financial aid. Well, after examining our own transcripts as well as transcripts from other schools in Florida, we thought we needed to give the students a term-by-term list of courses that they should take in order to graduate in 4 years. Well, how did we build these academic maps? For the most part, it was not difficult because our faculty colleagues had already done the majority of the work and published the degree requirements in the catalog. However, if you've looked at your own catalog or anyone else's, they're really indecipherable, very, very confusing. So our goal was to take that information and reformat it into a clear guide for the student to achieve graduation. My philosophy is never to ask a faculty member to do any work if I could get it done for them and then ask them to approve it. So our team invited a departmental advisor, either a faculty or a professional, to come to each meeting that we were working on their departmental map. And some went very easy. In fact, we did as many as 10 maps in one day. We completed the maps and distributed the first ones in 2003, but saw little improvement as students often ignored the map. We then decided we needed to take additional steps, and we added policies and additional information. First, we listed specific courses, and we called them milestones. Some people call them critical courses for each term that must be completed that term in order to graduate in 4 years. What these maps allowed us to do was to discover that we did not offer enough courses and enough seats in all of these courses to allow students to move smoothly toward graduation. We even discovered that we are offering required classes scheduled at the same time and the same day of the week. Second, with the additional income from tuition collections, we added professional advisors to monitor student registration and proactively advise them to make sure they took the appropriate courses. This led to a faculty discussion on what to do with students who were off map. They decided that a student could not be off map for more than 2 terms without changing their major. Third, students who had not selected a major, or at least selected an area of study, were required to attend choosing a major workshops, of which we held quite a few each semester. So there's lots and lots of formats and names for academic maps. If you do a web search, you'll probably find maybe 70 or 80 out there. But I'd like to begin by showing you one that I don't think is very good. And that is, this is the most common form because it simply lists a course code one after the other and then suggests how to fill in general education. Note that it doesn't tell the student how to use that map. It has no course identifications and no benchmarks, so the students can assess their progress. In the next map from Florida International University, they actually list the name of the course, what that course fulfills, and the number of credit hours, and a comment. They also add something that predictive analytics can provide, and that is the minimum grade suggested in that course in order to have a high probability for graduating in that major. For example, an A in Accounting 1, about 85% of those students will earn an accounting degree. A C in Accounting 1, that probability drops to under 20%. That's great information for the person teaching the course and great information from the student. And finally, my own preference in the next slide, I think that you need at least 4 things. You need to tell the student how to read the map, why that map is there, why it's important. You then need to have a course-by-course list of courses term by term that they need to take in order to graduate in 4 years. They have to have a list of the milestone courses that they need to stay on track to graduate in 4 years. And at least on our campus, students, and I think nationally, students are more and more concerned with employment. And so we also have a map, a link to employment data. And now there's so much employment data out there that you could make it as specific to the state or the region or across the whole country. And as I mentioned, Florida International, a lot of other schools are adding the minimum recommended grade using predictive analytics to improve the student's success of graduating in that major. There are quite a few areas that I think where I could help campuses. I could help them determining the extent and source of excess hours, identifying data to allow inclusion of recommended minimum grades if they so wish, help in building tables to track enrollment and seat needs in critical courses, of course, in helping you build your own academic maps, and discussion in how many times you should allow a student to repeat a course. And then finally, how proactive advising can save the student and the advisor time, because both the student and the advisor have the map in front of them and can discuss other issues rather than spend a lot of time determining what they should take in the next term. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with you and hope you're having a good day. Take care.